Okay, so welcome everyone into the plenary session 2 of the live Q&A. So we are joined by Sanjay Gandhi, Johannes Will, Christian Bucher, David Schneider, Thomas Most, and Sebastian Wolf, and they will now answer your question related to the Ansys innovation. So make sure also as a reminder to enter your question into the live discussion panel at the bottom right of your screen. So we can start we will start with Christian.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome, Christian.
Okay. Well, welcome to this Q&A session. Actually, it's not just a Q&A session; it's also a roundtable. So we're going to split that into two pieces. First round, first 15 minutes or so will be the questions, and for the second part, for the roundtable, I will hand over to Johannes, who will manage those things. Let's go by presentation. Are there any questions regarding the first presentation from Sanjay? I don't see any question right now. I have one to start with. Sanjay, you mentioned, and Johannes mentioned that later on as well, that there is a very strong commitment to supporting non-Ansys products within the entire workflow. And we have seen that a lot of products are somehow integrated into that workflow. My question is there any, let's say, standard for that integration or for that interfacing, which might be helpful for third-party developers? Do you have anything specific in mind for that, or do we already have that implemented somewhere?
Yeah, so speaking, I think most of the audience here is very well aware of the optiSLang side, so I'll answer the Minerva question.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's been designed is to keep it generic that, yes, there is more out-of-the-box integration for Ansys products, but the way integration capabilities are built, it's designed to extend it to any third party, your own applications, because a lot of our customers have in-house stuff. So the system as a whole, when you integrate an application, whether it's launching application, configuring HPC jobs, is made deliberately easier because we treat every application the same as a first-class citizen within infrastructure. And there are different levels of connectors as well, from metadata to visualization. And if you want to create direct client connectors, it's 100% API-driven infrastructure. So you'll get SDKs and REST-based APIs, which makes it easy for you as a customer or a partner to build those integrations yourself.
Okay, so these SDKs are fully open.
Fully open, yes. You can call them in GUI mode, no GUI mode, all of those are possible.
Yeah, that sounds very reasonable. Yes.
Some note to your question, Christian. There is a lot of noise in the background. So somebody has horse in his house or something like that. So, but one thing I would like to add here to your question regarding some standards. Together on the platform with our platform tools, we have two initiatives to maybe standardize the solver access with the APIs. And this will help also then in the context of Minerva or optiSLang to have access to those solvers with a standardized API. And one is PyAnsys and the other is a NEAT initiative where we are focusing to these standardized APIs.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I have another follow-up question to Sanjay. I mean, you mentioned the cloud in the very end. Does your list of cloud services or our list of cloud services actually also provide full third-party support in the same way? Or is it based on individual solutions that you have to have in-house?
So there are two modes of cloud deployment today. One, as of today, you can take all of our applications, including Minerva, and deploy it on your own cloud subscription. So if you have Azure, so a few of our customers, that is how they're deploying in production. So in that case, the question on third party, you will maintain and manage all of your third party on your cloud infrastructure. And Minerva can connect to HPC job submission.
Okay.
So it's a managed, customer managed environment where you control all the third party as well as Ansys and bring your own licenses. And for the Ansys Cloud SaaS offering, it's limited to Ansys applications only. But in the future, we will be thinking about solutions on our side to provide both, address both the needs if Ansys were to give a managed service to both Ansys as well as third party. But that's work in progress.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't see. Oh yeah. No. Any question from the audience? There is a question to Johannes, if I may move on now, from Martin Seemann. And the question is, when you talk about Design Explorer, I understood this tool as redundant to the optiSLang functionality. But you mentioned Design Explorer in a optiSLang workflow. In which extent are both tools distinctive? So.
Yeah, there are two answers to this question. First of all, we did implement all the technology of Design Explorer, which was available and people would like to use into the optiSLang framework. Yeah. And second, Design Explorer is still part of some packages of the Ansys software. And here we support also the project, let's say, conversion of a project you start in Design Explorer to be continued in optiSLang. Is that hopefully answering the question?
To me, it seems that way. So maybe there will be a follow-up. I don't know. I have a small question from my side.
Shall I?
Oh?
Yeah, please, David. You may add something to the design.
Shall I jump in?
Sure.
Yeah. Additionally, the Design Explorer team now joined the optiSLang team for the development. So we are now doing together the algorithm development.
Your volume is maybe a little bit large, David. Okay.
But I think that was a good comment. Johannes, I have a question related to the relationship between the premium and the enterprise version. Is this going to be, I don't know, a development which will eventually diverge, or is this intended to keep as close as possible?
No. Yeah, it's basically the same software. We just do license certain features with the enterprise license and certain features with the premium license. Also with the background that some of the customers might not want to use those licenses from the higher version and then are happy to have a premium license in place. And this is the thinking a little behind, like all the other tools from Ansys does have Pro, Premium, and the enterprise licenses. Pro is still in discussion and construction, but we will probably come up with Pro too.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think another question from Jonathan McMullen. With the new DFFN MOP, is it possible to execute the DFFN training on a GPU in parallel to the rest of the kriging models, etc., being evaluated with the CPU?
At the moment, this is not possible. So we did some benchmarks with the GPU, and this was not significant in the performance improvement. So at the moment, all the meta models of the different responses are trained in parallel on the CPU.
Okay, I think that was a clear answer to that one. Okay, if I just go on my list, then also actually Thomas would be the next addressee for a question. One of the first points that you made was the variable reduction schemes. You had two fixed schemes based on the reduction of the COP. and then there was a user option available. And my question is, are you providing some sort of wizard for that? I mean, in the end, this is a trade-off between, let's say, getting a smaller number of variables and losing out on the accuracy in terms of the COP. So what would be a guidance for a user actually willing to make their own choices?
Yeah, so what we decided some years ago, that the user can specify the threshold. When variables lay below that threshold, they are eliminated from the meta model. And if they have higher influence, then they are kept in the meta model. So we think this is not so too complicated to be understood by the user. So what we changed here was, or what we added here was just another default, that this threshold is now a bit smaller. Before we had the default 1%, so every variable below 1% was removed, and this was a reason that in some cases then we removed several parameters, and then we were maybe 5% weaker than some competitors. Say, okay, if you want to get or concentrate now on the approximation quality and not on the maximum reduction, then choose the other setting where you have a threshold of 0.1%.
I mean, does this have any impact on, let's say, computational performance in a, let's say, a more complex optimization loop or something like that?
Yeah, it depends a bit on the performance of the meta model itself. Yeah, so of course, if you have less parameters in the meta model, then you may not evaluate all distances of all in all dimensions, for example. Yeah, but this is probably neglectable compared to some other calculations needed in there. So I would assume that is not so significant.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just received a question to Sebastian from Markus Lehmann also, and the question is, on your first example on the gasket simulation, how did you calculate the leakage mass flow? Was there detailed CFD involved, or could you make use of some kind of simplification?
Here in this case, we export the data directly from a mechanical use case with some assumption. You can download the example. Actually, it is available as a tutorial on the Ansys help site.
Okay, quick answer. Thank you. I would also like to ask a question. You showed a picture with field sensitivities, and where you had a colorful plot showing the locally largest variable, most important one with respect to sensitivity. What is your idea of a use case for that kind of plot?
Yeah, the reason is that sometimes we have 50 or more input parameters. And if you want to do a simple and easy to observe analysis, then you would need to plot 50 sensitivity indices in 3D space. And with this merged down most sensitive input plot, we wanted to reduce the complexity of the analysis, showing just the most important input, which is typically the first hint for engineers to find out which parameter they have to adjust, which one has the largest influence. And in the same plot, we also make visible those parts of the 3D model where the prognosis quality is too low to give a good estimation of the sensitivities. And by that, one even can check in one plot how good the model is. And I think this is a very good starting point, at least, to do the analysis.
Yeah, okay, that's something I understand, but I mean, you had a few cases where the spots having a unique color were very small. So you have very small areas in one color, and the neighboring area has a different color. So in this case, it probably the usefulness is a bit limited, I would assume.
Yeah, of course. It could be that that there is a turning point where two parameters have a quite low influence or nearly equal influence. It could also be that we are taking a look at local phenomena like notch stresses, etc.
Okay,
But
thank you.
we provide the tools to analyze this more deeply. So if you figure out that there might be an issue here, then you can take a look at the standard deviation, for example, in space to see if there are any large variations at the one plot or in a spot or in the other one. You can also plot the two sensitivity indices in 3D for those two parameters that you are checking. And it is also possible to do some analysis regarding noise when exporting the internal subspace coefficients to optiSLang post-processing.
Thank you. Well, I think we've used about 16 minutes now for the Q&A, and maybe, as I don't see any other questions coming up, it might be a good idea to move on to the roundtable part of this meeting. Thank you very much for your questions, and of course, for all your answers from the presenters, and then I'll probably ask Johannes to take over from now.
Hello, everybody. Let's now start our roundtable in a similar round of people. And starting the roundtable, I would like now all of you to do the questions you have. There will be also a poll I expect to come in. We can have a look to. And basically, that roundtable is now the chance to grill the team what you would like to have as a customer base, what you think are important developments we should focus on in the future development of the wider platform, and with the optiSLang as part of it. And I would like to go around through the roundtable and ask the participants of the roundtable, what in your opinion is the most important development what you or your team is working on when you think on the platform and when you think on the applications of our user over the last years in that conference, or what you have seen in the first session? And I would like to start with Sanjay, the round, to give us his most important thing he is working on.
Yeah, so for us, the Minerva topic is relatively new, but we've been very excited with the response from customers. So from a priority perspective, as Christian asked the question on openness, is to maintain the openness, support all the unique use cases that we are seeing around data management, HPC, and another big priority is the tighter integration with optiSLang. So that continues because the ability to capture and deploy automations is absolutely critical for our customers. So keeping the openness, making sure the third-party tools integration works well as the focus on making sure the process integration with optiSLang. Those are the three top priorities. There is rest that will come. I think one Johannes alluded to making the system more accessible in terms of our solver integrations and stuff like that. Those will continue in addition to the cloud deployment pieces.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. Let's go around, and David, our product manager, to be the next one to have his opinion about the most important development he's working on.
Well, you hear me?
Yes.
We have those two parts of optiSLang. This is process integration and design optimization or design exploration part. And so it is important and very good that we integrate more and more with Minerva, and we support more tools, and we have this openness and this API thing. And on the other side, I'm very happy now to have Design Explorer part of optiSLang, the team of Design Explorer part of optiSLang, and giving SOS in the full functionality also as part of optiSLang to our customers. This is these are my most important things on optiSLang.
Thank you very much. Let's continue with Sebastian, our former statistical and structural product manager and now leading the whole creation group at optiSLang plus statistical and structure. Christian. Yeah, Sebastian, sorry.
Yeah, as David said, there are two things. You have the algorithmic side and you have the process integration side. We need to be closer to the Ansys flagship products to improve the integration there. There's a long way to go still, although the integration is already very good. We have then a lot of initiatives direction web and cloud, Minerva first, but also when you think about cloud applications. And then, of course, we have on the algorithmic side a lot of things to be done. For example, regarding SOS, where we want to synchronize the developments in the metamodeling section between SOS and the Scalar MOP framework, for example, but also when it comes to becoming much closer with SOS into the optiSLang workflow engine, etc.
Thank you very much for your first statement in our roundtable here about the most important things. And let's continue with Thomas, our method development lead for a long time. What is your most important thing when you think on your customer, what we are developing?
Yeah, if I think on that, the customer base grows exponentially. That means that we are not able to train everybody for several days. Using optiSLang means that application of our methods, of our algorithms and so on must be as easy as possible. So if we think on settings, expert knowledge, and so on, and I think this is a path we went or we started to go on since several years, and we need to really follow that. Like we started with the AMOP having just 2 or 3 settings available for the customer, and now with the new nature-inspired optimization, again having just a few settings. We saw that with the neural networks that smartly out also have just a few settings, and the user does not need to care about all the details. And I think one very nice development we are doing now is some new optimization technology where the user also can do a full-featured optimization, successful optimization, just 1 setting or 2 settings maybe. This is a path we should follow, especially to reach all the new customers and to ensure that they are successful with the methodology we provide.
To put a little light behind these new magic optimizer, I would assume that this is what the market also has available at some places, that in the background we are combining multiple methodologies to adaptively find out what's the best way to improve the design, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So if you look on the MOP, then we have the data already available. We can check what is the best meta model in an automatic way. And I think the users, they really like that. They don't have to take care about all the details. But with the optimizer, this might be a bit more challenging, that from the beginning, we need to evaluate what might be or what algorithm might have the highest chance to find the optimum with the highest efficiency. And this is an interesting challenge for us, and hopefully we will provide some solution there very soon.
Yeah, and that's also a point I would like to underline with a little story. And we had our first VOST in 2004. There was Professor Szytkowski, one of our keynote speakers, one of the famous guys developing gradient-based optimization method. And he told us basically in that time, there's no lack of methods. There's just a lack of knowledge on the user base to use these methods. This was a perspective that the user needs to be in CAE and in optimization crack to use those algorithms. And in my opinion, the value of optiSLang to the user base are not the single algorithms. The values are the workflows, which are combining those algorithms make them accessible fully automatically, like meta model of optimal prognosis. Yeah? And therefore, when now we are now looking forward that much more possibilities are coming in with the inclusion of available technology inside Ansys, which is a huge set of possible algorithms coming in. And here we need definitely a very good pre-selection, very good wizards that a user can, but is not asked to do. So to have detailed input, which algorithm and which setting of algorithm will be successful. This is a journey, Thomas, where we are on for the last 15 years, and you are a critical piece of it. So continue with that. With that, Christian, our long-term director and Genie founder from the beginning, what is your most important thing you are working on? And I know that you will increase your time a little bit for us in the next time. I'm really looking forward.
That's the plan. No, well, I mean, there's a lot of things, but I personally, given my own personal history with reliability analysis, I'm really very much interested in that. And I think, as has been said before, it's not a lack of methods there, but it's a matter of getting those methods stable and less fragile than they are right now. So we have a lot of reliability methods which work very well, even for high-dimensional settings, small probabilities and stuff. And those methods have been around for a couple of decades, some of them already. But still, we have the problem that there's always a situation where the whole thing completely would fail. And to provide a strategy or a mix of strategies to avoid that breakdown of the methods, to stabilize that and make it useful for a general application, I think that is a very interesting, very challenging, and in my opinion, also very important task that I would like to, let's say, invest a lot of time into, and I think it would be fairly good for the future development of optiSLang to invest in that development.
Yeah, and in particular, where we are looking forward to use those technology in certification processes. I mean, all the autonomous application, flying autonomously, driving autonomously, this is something where we believe really that this can be made true only with simulation. And then, of course, the simulation results need to be certified. And then we cannot say, hey guys, the reliability analysis has chosen the wrong area. Sorry about that. That's part of the problem. No, right. we have to make it really certificable. And that means we have to take away all randomness on the results, basically. There will be only the randomness due to the real variability on the input, and that's a challenge, because
yes, of course we have a lot of the tools already in place, so we just need to put them together in exactly the way that it's going to be mostly useful for the application.
Okay, thank you for the first round. The auditorium is impressed, not having own questions, but wake up and be welcome to have any kind of question. Otherwise, we will have our own rounds in between. I wanted to make a little comment. I mean, we have seen in voice sometimes game changer. Yeah, so sometimes they were, or we could see it that these are game changer, like our meta model of optimal prognosis. Here we did see from the beginning that this will be a game changer of how people will use DOE plus response surface. Yeah. A second game changer was basically very much underestimated by myself, and I know the story when David Schneider first time did show in a conference to call optiSLang from his smartphone. And I said, come on, guy, what should these plays here? We are in an engineering conference. But of course, this was the beginning of web apps. And I mean, web app is now a big deal in democratization. So sometimes we realize it's a game changer, and sometimes we might not realize it. And we have the game changer in meta modeling. We have the game changer in these web applications. I mean, not what we invented, but it came over us. Then we have the game changer in reliability methods used for certification. So before it was nice to have, to do reliability. Now it becomes necessary. And we can foresee that they will not certify without dealing with the reliability with simulation. And a fourth game changer I'm expecting since years is this combination of functional optimization and cost optimization. We have seen in the first session examples like from Bosch, where when you combine functional and cost optimization, the sensitivities are changing, the winners are changing, and you bring the variability from engineering all the way up to quality, to production, and to management. And this gives more value to engineering, basically. And therefore, this is, in my opinion, really a game changer we have to drive. And here my question to the round, Sanjay, does your customer in business workflows does not ask for combining two coast environments, coast tools? And if so, what are the tools they're asking for?
So there is definitely now, as things are being pushed to upfront engineering, we have requests, especially to support a priori, some of the other internal calculators. And that is where we depend on some of the optiSLang capabilities to take these workflows, put that as part of the business workflows, combine them as necessary. So there are multiple streams. One is all of the automated templates in optiSLang. For example, if they're managed well, there can be apps built for designers who can execute certain what-if scenarios. So cost calculation being part of it. So this is a real need. Not all customers are mature enough today to understand how to create these templates and deploy them. I think we have exceptions in companies like Bosch and others who are very mature. But a lot of the other companies want to do it. We are, as you know, the simulation data management topic itself is new. So we are hoping more and more deployments will educate the customers on they know how to do it. It's a challenge of pushing it up front.
I would not go around with these combination of financial and functional, because not all of you might be already facing that. But who would like to make an additional comment or an additional story or even user story to that, where functional and cost optimization comes together? David, Christian, Thomas, Sebastian left for a while.
No, maybe Sanjay said everything here. It's about that many customers, they have their cost tools. And Daniel Kretschmer also said there's Excel, there's a priori, there are other tools. And we have to bring them in workflows together in optiSLang, put them together. And also, let's say, learn together with the customer how to bring the things together, how put engineering and business together into workflows.
Yeah, and there is a chat from our ACE group that they tell me that customer two large Danish companies are using a priori in combination with optiSLang, and we have all on board to do so. 4 to 6 nodes. So I think this is probably some Python programming to these tools. 4 to 6 nodes are good enough. So our ACE organization can show you if a customer has these topic to solve. Okay. Are there any questions? Is a poll already in place? I'm expecting not. So our team is working in the background. Jessica Tamasi said, I think cost and function optimization is a very important topic, which is so powerful. But you have to break up silos thinking in companies. Yes, Jessica, this is, I mean, we talked about these also during the last conferences very often in these plenary sessions. Sometimes it's a mindset, like we have heard also in the first presentations today. Communication becomes an issue if we are leaving our CAE expert community, that we are meaning still the same things. And silos, in my opinion, when we make a proof of concept of the potentials, then the silos, in my opinion, should melt down. Yeah, because those, I mean, these potentials, when we talk about doubling or tripling profitability, this is a game changer. This is nothing nice to have. This is something which management, of course, would like to place now tomorrow, but of course, we need to have the parametering in place as well as, so it's not something which is done just in one day. I see another question coming in from Yasvanat Yakala. Grunter has some cost attributes attached to materials, of course. It would be good if a seamless workflow is introduced to integrate and exploit Grunter with optiSLang or Minerva on a platform level. Sure, we are on our way. We have a very close cooperation with the Grunter team being part of the platform. And we have multiple ways of integrating between Grunter and optiSLang today. We have some key customer where we are running now first lighthouse projects, and definitely material cost is one of the stories our customer are interested in. Material cost optimization is relatively easy, let's say, when we do with volume and weight. But we have also seen customer, they introduce the production costs of a different material, of a different joining, and then also the maintenance cost on top of that. Yeah, so cost calculation by itself becomes challenging if it needs to be precise. But as Daniel Kretschmer told us, a simplified cost sheet is definitely better than no cost in the variability. Yeah? And the simplified cost sheets solve already 80%. And I have a lot of customers when I'm talking to, they tell me, that's perfect to have an 80% solution to start with, and then to make a 90 or a 95% solution next time. Yeah. And next question comes from Lars Graining. Just a comment, there is a presentation from Danfoss. Wait a minute, now technical issue, email coming in. Just a moment, there is a presentation from Danfoss on using a priori and optiSLang workflow. So don't miss it. Danfoss, this was one of the great Danish companies I mentioned. They will present at VOST, search for this time slot. Maybe somebody can put it in the chat here. They will present an a priori connection. Then I'm very optimistic that even in that conference, after having 2 presentations, we will have another one where we see these benefit of combining functional and cost optimization. 5 p.m. today, Thomas, thank you very much. This was the first. In the second round, let's do a third round. First, I did ask you, what is your most important development you think for the customer? Then I discussed a little bit my favorite topic, combining cost and functional optimization. Let's now have a look back, and I will ask you, when you look to your most important customer, what is the most important functionality of our tools which now produce the value to the customer? Can you share this with us? Because this is, again, probably a good information for our customer base. Sanjay, please start.
Yeah, so for a broad set of capabilities that we're trying to do, I think one of the things we want to do, at least starting with the Ansys tools and keeping the same experience for others, is making collaboration around simulation easier, right? You have 100 GB workbench files sometimes, you have management of data, how do you search, find. This digital transformation is a huge buzzword. I think we should focus on the basics, on what users like, how do they use tools, user experience, our integrations with our solvers. As an example, if you have an AEDT file, how do I quickly look at the post-processing results in AEDT? Because just loading workbench and AEDT, if it's stored on a server, can take some time for users, right? So the focus is on the user experience, while there are multiple use cases for ECAD, for regular simulation, business process. Those features will continue. We are trying to just get the education part on working with a lot of customers. Over the last year and a half, we've had at least 24 customers now. And trying to just learn from them, what needs to be tuned is the big focus for us. And the value for them, again, all of us here on the simulation data and management side, process management side, there are multiple productivity levels, things that we're shooting for. But as I said, there are plenty of presentations we can kind of make available to our customers on those as well.
David, let's go second.
Let's go back 10 years or even more now. I'm thinking of optiSLang inside Workbench and this milestone what we reached there by just within the parametric modeling environment, we give small wizards, decision tree, traffic light, what guides the user to select the right optimization algorithm, and so on and so forth. I think this was a game changer to open optiSLang much more and all those nice algorithms much more to the CAE community. And we are now following this path by bringing optiSLang in electronics desktop, for example, maybe into other tools in the future as well, to make it easier to directly use the power of the algorithms, and also going with this web app thing to bring the optiSLang capabilities nearer to people who are not so expert in optimization, MOP, COP, and all this workflow building thing, what maybe needs scripting. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Thomas.
Yeah, I think it's not so easy just to mention one specific feature. So if I look on the enterprise customers I was in contact the last years, so it's typical journey. You start with some simple examples for the training, where you concentrate on the GUI, on the handling, and so on. And then you continue with more advanced workflows, more advanced process integration. And then you may have a look in details on the post-processing and so on. And then after that, usually then the automation comes into the game, and the customer wants to automate all the workflows that they did. I think that needs good balance in our future development. So process integration, performance, the methodology, and automation, this all together. And also then the availability, I think that results, monitoring, and so on can be also used in other environments like web apps and so on. That the people are able to connect to the different sessions they have and so on, to make that desktop working a bit more flexible for the whole team working on projects and so on.
Thank you. Sebastian, your 2 cents to the story. Sebastian might have sitting in Vienna, some connection problems. Then let's go with Christian, also in Vienna. Do you have any lighthouse project customer in mind?
Yeah, well, I'm not the big customer contact person, but still I have a little bit of experience with a few projects which have been running over the past 2 years. And there is one thing which is related to the signal MOP, and that has to do with signals defined in the frequency domain. And for this project, we have been specifically developing a different alternative representation, data reduction strategy. And that seemed to work quite well within the context of that project. And out of that, completely new idea came up. And we've been following up on this for, let's say, a few months already. And I think in this way, something which is actually customer-driven will come into a soon-to-be-released version of the Signal MOP. And I think this is a very rich and useful addition. And I guess that's one of the points that I realized and got into touch by customer contact.
Thank you very much, Christian. Sebastian, are you now ready to go?
I am ready. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
The most famous question in video conferences.
Okay. I think we are running a very good compromise between complexity of our workflows and our algorithms on the one hand side, and also easiness of using them. And I think that, or I can foresee that more and more complexity is coming in our algorithms. When you think about signal MOP, 3D field meta models, when you think about artificial intelligence, when you think about not only dealing with simulation models, but also with measurements and databases that we connect to. And at the same time, keeping some kind of simplicity becomes a challenge, I think. And this is a very nice task for us in R&D, I think.
Thank you very much. I think what we were working on in the last version was we could see that our larger customer are fast in enabling these parametric studies. But for some smaller and medium customer, and with our own background as Danado being a consulting company, still small and medium size, before we went to Ansys, we faced the problem that running those parametric studies is taking a long time. And here, in my opinion, with our new licensing concept, that I could realize these inbuilt solver variants, especially for the small and medium customer. This is hopefully a very nice thing that they start and do more parametric studies than they could do before. So because we can now run 4 or 8 times faster, and if I have multiple optiSLang licenses, this is even more speed up. So we could see also last year when we looked to our grow, I was mentioning in my introduction that we had an unbelievable growth in 2020. I mean, in the Corona year, we doubled our user base. How is that? But we could see the main grow with the large companies, and the small and medium company were not growing that fast. And this was one of our motivation to say, hey guys, how can we enable them to do more parametric studies, to do more upfront simulation, to be faster on time, and all the stuff we are looking for. And this is why we did invent this idea of inbuilt solver variants to optiSLang, and we were successfully to bring it through, and now licensing that in the next version in summer. I was actually expecting a lot of questions to that, because if this functionality, when we introduce it to our own people, there were questions over questions, how does it work and stuff like this, but maybe people are a little bit shy. But one question I got from my presentation from Tim Wansek, he asked me, does these included concurrent optiSLang licenses include also HPC licenses? And this is a good question. The answer is no. We are the solver variants in optiSLang. If you have a solver in place and an enterprise version, you can run now 8 variants of a design with that solver, with the default cores which are given to the solver. If the single solver run needs HPC, then now the 8 solver runs will need 8 times the HPC. But the good message is, with the dynamic scaling of the HPC packs for cores, this combination of optiSLang for solver variants and dynamic scaling of HPC cores is now a very attractive combination to run massive parametric design studies, which was not in place before. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it was the last question, Johannes, because the Siemens presentation will start in 1 minute.
We start in 1 minute, and you need to go definitely to the Siemens presentation. It's the first time, or it might be the first time at this conference we do see a 4D ROM in action. So please, see you in 1.5 minutes at the Siemens presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.